Imagine being born on a planet that doesn't want you alive. A world with no welcome mat, no protective embrace, just an endless series of tests. From the very beginning, humanity wasn't living on Earth. We were living against it. This wasn't a home, it was a crucible. Think about it. The ground beneath your feet could suddenly split open, swallowing everything you knew. The sky, a source of light, could turn against you, freezing the land solid for months, even years. The sun's warmth could become a relentless inferno, scorching the earth and burning life away. Storms would appear on the horizon, not just to rain, but to erase your shelter, your fire, your only sense of safety. The food you painstakingly gathered could vanish overnight, stolen by blight, by flood, by a sudden shift in the seasons. Every mistake was punished, not by a teacher, but by death. Early humans didn't face armies or invaders from other worlds. Their enemy was the world itself. They fought a daily war against cold that seeped into their bones, hunger that gnawed at their insides, and a profound, terrifying darkness that fell every single night. They battled diseases with no names and disasters that struck without reason or warning. The planet didn't care if a tribe survived or perished. It didn't pause its geological temper tantrums. It offered no mercy, no second chances. A single misstep, a moment of weakness, and you were gone. And yet, against all odds, humans stayed. We endured. We didn't survive because Earth was kind to us. We survived because we refused to disappear. This is the incredible, untold story of humanity's true first war. The war against nature itself. It's a story of survival that meant resisting the very forces that created us. The world tried to break our species again and again. Weed eyes, Akis, supervolcanoes, and cataclysmic floods. But with every challenge, humans were forced to evolve, to adapt, to think beyond simple instinct. When the cold came, we didn't just shiver. We learned to master fire and craft clothing from animal hides. When hunger loomed, we didn't just starve. We invented tools to hunt larger prey and developed strategies to work together. We looked at a sharp piece of flint and didn't see a rock. We saw a knife, an arrowhead, a future. We looked at each other and didn't just see rivals for scarce resources. We saw allies, a community, a family. This relentless pressure forged our intelligence, our creativity, our very social bonds. The need to predict the seasons led to astronomy. The need to remember which plants were safe led to language and storytelling. The need to protect our children led to building stronger communities. Our ancestors weren't they were fragile, slow, and lacked claws or fangs. But they had something more powerful, a mind capable of abstract thought and a spirit that would not quit. They learned to read the clouds, to understand the migrations of animals, to pass knowledge down through generations. They turned caves into homes, painted their histories on the walls, and dreamed of a better world while huddled around a flickering fire. They transformed from mere creatures of instinct into shapers of destiny. So when we look at the incredible cities we've built, the technology we've created, and the way we've explored every corner of this globe, it's easy to forget where it all started. We didn't conquer Earth in a single, glorious campaign. First, we had to survive it. That desperate, brutal, and beautiful struggle against a planet that seemed to want us dead is what shaped everything we are today. Our resilience, our ingenuity, our unyielding drive to keep going it, was all forged in the fires of a world that refused to make it easy. And that is perhaps the greatest story of all. The first topic is a world that wanted us gone. We tend to think of Earth as our home, a nurturing mother that cradles life. It's a beautiful idea, but for the first humans, it was a complete lie. For them, Earth wasn't a protector. It was a relentless enemy, a force that tested their will to survive every single day. Forget the image of a peaceful, green paradise. The reality of early human existence was a brutal war against the planet itself, a battle they never asked for and were barely equipped to fight. Long before the first cities were built, long before we even learned to plant a single seed, the planet was hostile. The climate, our most fundamental life support system, was an unpredictable monster. Imagine living in a world where the weather could turn on you in an instant, with no warning. Sudden, catastrophic temperature drops could plunge entire continents into deep freezes. Fertile lands, teeming with life, one generation, could become frozen, barren wastelands in the next. These weren't the slow, creeping ice ages we see in documentaries. They were brutal, swift strikes that shattered ecosystems. When the warmth vanished, survival became a desperate race against a clock that was always ticking down to zero. The rain was just as treacherous. Global patterns would collapse without reason. leading to devastating droughts that stretched for years, killing off every plant and turning forests to dust. Rivers, the lifelines for both humans and animals, would simply dry up, leaving behind cracked earth and bones. Then, just as suddenly, the skies would open up. Raging floods would sweep through valleys, erasing campsites and entire communities in a single night. Our ancestors had no satellites, no weather forecasts, no understanding of meteorology. They just knew that the sky could be a killer. And the earth attacked without reason or explanation. It wasn't just the weather. The very ground they walked on was a constant threat. Imagine a sky turning black in the middle of the day, not with clouds, but with volcanic ash. Massive eruptions would spew so much debris into the atmosphere that it would block out the sun for years, plunging the world into a volcanic winter. Temperatures would plummet. Plants would wither and die. The animals our ancestors hunted would either migrate to unknown lands or perish entirely, leaving humans to starve in a cold, dark world. Survival meant constantly moving, chasing dwindling resources across a landscape that was actively trying to kill them. And in this hostile world, humans were far from the top of the food chain. We were prey. Forget our modern confidence. Early humans were slow, weak, and utterly exposed. This was a world ruled by giants and predators. Enormous cave bears, saber-toothed cats, dire wolves, and massive hyenas dominated every corner of the landscape. A single moment of distraction, one wrong step, was a death sentence. Gathering food was a gamble. Finding water was a risk. Even sleep was a life or death proposition. The darkness didn't belong to us. It belonged to the things that hunted us. Every rustle in the bushes, every shadow in the moonlight could be the end. As if the visible threats weren't enough, an army of invisible enemies lurked everywhere. As humans migrated into new territories, they encountered bacteria and viruses their bodies had never seen before. With no concept of hygiene, no medicine, and no natural immunity, even a small cut could lead to a fatal infection. A broken bone, an injury that we would easily treat today, was often a slow and agonizing death sentence. Outbreaks of unknown diseases could sweep through a small group, wiping them out with terrifying speed. Life was fragile, and death was a constant, silent companion. But perhaps the most terrifying part of it all was the sheer, crushing uncertainty. Our ancestors couldn't predict the seasons with any real confidence. They couldn't trust the land to provide food from one year to the next. They couldn't look at the sky and know if it would bring life-giving rain or a devastating flood. There were no reliable patterns, no guarantees of safety. The planet offered no comfort, no stability. Every single day was a new battle for survival against an opponent that was infinitely more powerful. The Earth didn't care if humanity lived or died. It just tested relentlessly and without mercy. For a very, very long time, humanity was losing this war. We were a species on the brink, a fragile flicker of consciousness in a world of overwhelming violence and chaos. The idea of Earth as a benevolent home came much, much later, after we had clawed our way to a position of relative safety. But we must never forget where we came from. Our story began not in a garden, but on a battlefield. It was a war. Humans never chose to fight. The war of living against a planet that was, for all intents and purposes, our greatest enemy. The fact that we are here today is a testament not to the kindness of our planet, but to the incredible, almost impossible resilience of our ancestors. This struggle against the Earth itself is what forged us. It forced us to become smarter, to cooperate, to innovate. Every tool we chipped from stone, every fire we learned to control, every story we told around that fire was a weapon in our war for survival. We learned to read the subtle signs of the changing seasons, to understand the behavior of the animals that hunted us, and to pass that knowledge down through generations. Our intelligence became our claws. Our communities became our armor. We didn't conquer the planet. We learned to endure it. We outlasted the ice ages, survived the predators, and slowly, painstakingly, began to build a world within a world. The civilization we know today is built upon the foundation of that ancient struggle. Our cities, our farms, our science, it all stems from that primal need to create a buffer between ourselves and the raw, untamed power of the natural world. We have become so successful that many of us have forgotten the battle ever took place. We've forgotten that the stable climate we enjoy is a rare gift, that the absence of giant predators is a luxury, and that our ability to produce food is a miracle of ingenuity. We have started to see the Earth once again as a gentle, nurturing home, forgetting the harsh lessons our ancestors paid for in blood. But the planet hasn't changed. The volcanoes still slumber. The tectonic plates still shift. The climate is still a complex and powerful system that we only partially understand. We've built a fragile bubble of safety, but the forces that our ancestors faced are still there, waiting just beyond the walls of our civilization. Understanding their struggle isn't about being pessimistic. It is about having a profound respect for both the power of nature and the tenacity of the human spirit. It's a reminder that our existence is not guaranteed. It was earned through hundreds of thousands of years of hardship, fear, and an unbreakable will to live. That is the true story of humanity's beginning. Not a peaceful stroll through a garden, but a desperate fight for survival in an enemy world. The second topic is a world that wanted us gone. Have you ever thought about how fragile we are? We look at the world today with our cities and technology, and it's easy to forget a fundamental truth. This planet was not built for us. In fact, for most of human history, Earth seemed designed to kill us. Let's rewind the clock. Earth has always favored strength, speed, and specialization. It rewarded the tiger with its claws, the gazelle with its swiftness, and the polar bear with its thick fur. And then there was us. Early humans had none of these. We were weak, slow, and remarkably unspecialized. We had no natural weapons, no tough hide, no built-in protection against the elements. A cold night could kill us. A hot day could exhaust us. A few missed meals, and we were done. Earth was a brutal filter, designed to eliminate the unprepared, and we were hopelessly unprepared. Think about the other species. Many were perfectly adapted to their homes. Thick-footed animals thrived in the bitter cold. Fast, powerful predators owned the open plains. They were masters of their domain. Humans, on the other hand, were generalists. Our one great advantage was adaptability, but that adaptability was a slow, painful process, and the planet was impatient. It didn't wait for us to learn. It punished us for every single misstep. As a result, our population numbers were a roller coaster of collapse. Entire groups of early humans simply vanished from the pages of history. A single harsh winter, a failed migration across a new valley, or a sudden drought could wipe out generations of progress. For millennia, we weren't a dominant species. We were just scattered pockets of survivors, isolated by vast stretches of hostile, unforgiving terrain. This isolation was a killer in itself. Unlike animals that rely on instinct, human survival depends heavily on learned knowledge, and that knowledge was incredibly fragile. If the elders of a group died, years of experience where to find water, which plants were safe, how to track game disappeared with them. If the children died, the future disappeared. Our progress was never a straight line. It was a chaotic scramble of advances and devastating setbacks. Earth rewards efficiency, not experimentation. It rewards what works right now. But what did humans do? We experimented, we tried new tools, we explored new lands, we tested new foods. And for every successful experiment, there were countless failures. The price for those mistakes was almost always death. The planet refined life through failure, and humanity provided a lot of failures. Food was a constant, gnawing anxiety. As climates shifted, large game animals that could feed a group for weeks disappeared. Hunting smaller, faster prey required more energy, more coordination, and more risk. The plants we relied on changed with the seasons and the shifting weather patterns. We were forced to be opportunistic, eating whatever we could find, from insects to roots to leftover scraps. Starvation was a shadow that followed every single human, every single day. Isolation made everything 1,000 times worse. A group that couldn't cooperate, that couldn't share resources and defend each other, collapsed almost instantly. For an early human, being alone was a death sentence. The planet actively punished solitude. You needed the eyes and ears of your group to watch for predators, the combined strength to hunt, and the shared warmth to survive a cold night. This brutal environment eliminated the weak without mercy. It erased hesitation. It destroyed mistakes. There was no room for error. Earth was a relentless force, refining life by grinding down anything that wasn't tough enough to endure. It was a planet built to kill the weak, the slow, and the So, how did we survive? How did a fragile, naked ape manage to not just endure, but eventually thrive on a planet that seemed to want it gone? We survived, not because Earth wanted us to. We survived in spite of it. We didn't have claws, so we chipped stones into sharp edges. We didn't have fur, so we learned to make fire and use animal hides. We weren't the fastest, so we learned to outthink our prey and our predators, to plan, to communicate, and to work together. Humanity's story isn't one of being given an easy path. It's the story of clawing our way forward against impossible odds. Every one of us alive today is the descendant of an unbroken line of people who refused to give up. People who saw a world designed to destroy them and found a way to endure. They faced down starvation, predation, and the raw, indifferent power of nature itself. Earth wasn't trying to help us evolve. It was trying to erase us. And the most incredible fact of all, we survived anyway. The third topic is learning through near. Imagine a world where nature wasn't a peaceful backdrop, but a relentless attacker. It didn't strike humanity just once. It attacked in waves, over and over, leaving no time to recover. Every generation faced a different, unpredictable threat. The climate was the most ruthless enemy. Temperatures would swing violently. Warm lands would freeze solid, while deserts would suddenly flood. Glaciers advanced across entire continents, crushing everything in their path, forcing early humans into a desperate choice: move or die. These changes were chaotic, making any kind of preparation impossible. Storms were a constant, deadly reality. Hurricane-force winds ripped apart shelters made of wood, bone, and hide. Torrential rains washed away camps and precious food supplies. A single lightning strike could ignite a wildfire that spread for miles, burning forests and driving away the animals they hunted. Humans were left exposed, with nowhere to hide. Hunger was the shadow that followed every disaster. When the climate shifted, plants died. When the plants died, animals either migrated or starved. Hunting became a desperate gamble, often requiring long, dangerous journeys into unknown territory. One failed hunt could mean the end for an entire family, and in this chaos, predators thrived. Saber-toothed cats, dire wolves, and giant bears stalked weakened human groups, picking off the injured, the young, and the old. We were not at the top of the food chain yet. We survived by being invisible. Disease was a silent killer. As humans migrated to new lands, they encountered unfamiliar bacteria and parasites. Without immunity or medicine, a small cut could become a fatal infection. Illness would sweep through a group already weakened by hunger and cold, finishing what the storms and predators started. On top of all this, massive natural disasters struck without warning. Volcanoes erupted, blotting out the sun with ash, plunging the world into darkness and cold. Earthquakes shattered the land, and massive floods would carve new riverbeds, wiping out familiar water sources overnight. Early humans couldn't understand why these things happened. They only knew they were deadly. Fear became a permanent part of life. Every rustle in the grass, every shadow at dusk, spelled danger. Sleep was a luxury, shallow and broken. But this constant fear also sharpened the senses. Humans learned to read the subtle signs of nature, the behavior of birds, the shape of the clouds, the direction of the wind for a clue of what horror was coming next. Survival meant being in constant motion. Humans migrated relentlessly, chasing food and safer climates. But every new land brought unknown predators, new diseases, and no guarantee of resources. Still, staying put was a death sentence. Nature showed no mercy. It never paused. Each challenge overlapped with the next, creating a vice of relentless pressure. Countless groups perished, vanishing from history without a trace. And yet, some survived, not because the attacks stopped, but because they learned to endure. Endurance, not victory, was the key. This constant pressure forged human behavior. Groups became intensely cautious and deeply aware of their every decision prioritized safety over comfort, survival over everything else. Mistakes were seared into memory, because forgetting them meant death. Children learned fear from birth. They watched the adults, memorizing safe trails, dangerous animals, and the warning signs in the sky. This knowledge wasn't written down. It was passed through stories, gestures, and relentless practice, creating a culture of survival long before the word culture even existed. Nature also forced us to become social. A lone individual was an easy meal. The groups that survived were those that communicated, cooperated, and protected one another. Trust became the most valuable resource. A single selfish act could doom everyone. Even time was an enemy. They lived without any certainty of tomorrow. Planning was for the next meal, the next sunrise. Yet, even under this crushing weight, humans slowly developed patience and strategy. They learned when to wait, when to hide, and how to conserve every ounce of energy. Against this onslaught, humans didn't become fearless. Fear was always there. What changed was their relationship with it. Fear became information. It guided their movements, shaped their decisions, and sharpened their instincts. Those who learned to manage their fear were the ones who lived to see another day. Nature's tests never ended. Each moment of survival was temporary. But through this repeated exposure to hell on Earth, humans developed a profound resilience. They learned to recover faster, adapt quicker, and endure longer than any other species. This chapter of our history wasn't heroic or glorious. It was exhausting, brutal, and terrifying. Survival was earned every single hour of every single day. And in this brutal struggle, humanity learned its most important lesson. Existence itself is something that must be fought for. This relentless era carved survival deep into our psychology. Caution, memory, and cooperation became instincts, not choices. These traits didn't just disappear when the world grew safer. They were carried forward, shaping future generations, guiding our migrations, forming our first societies, and influencing every decision we would ever make. The planet's most violent attacks eventually subsided, but the lessons they taught remained embedded in our DNA. And those ancient lessons of fear, planning, and survival still influenced our behavior and our cultures in the modern world today. The fourth topic is the turning point. Control over chaos. At some point in our history, the very definition of survival began to change. For millions of years, our ancestors lived reactively, responding to threats as they arose, their existence a constant dance with danger. But then, a subtle yet profound shift occurred. Humans stopped just reacting and started shaping their own outcomes in advance. This was the turning point, the moment survival slowly transformed into control. This wasn't a sudden revolution. It was an evolution, built on countless small decisions repeated over generations, rippling across time. It started with where we lived. Early humans chose locations not just for immediate safety, but for strategic advantage. Camps were deliberately placed near fresh water, along animal migration paths, and on high ground that offered a clear view of the surrounding landscape. These weren't just homes, they were fortresses of foresight, designed to reduce risk before danger even had a chance to appear. This proactive placement meant fewer surprise attacks, more reliable resources, and a greater chance of seeing the next sunrise. Simultaneously, our relationship with tools crossed the critical threshold. The first tools were simple, extensions of the body: a sharp rock to cut, a heavy stone to crush. But as our skills advanced, our tools became instruments of environmental transformation. We didn't just use wood, we shaped it with sharpened flint. We didn't just fear fire, we tamed it, using it to clear land, cook food, and harden spear tips. The planet was no longer an untouchable, immutable force. With tools and fire, we could now cut, burn, and build with intention, bending the world to our will, however, slightly at first. Control over our food supply was another massive leap. The old way was feast or famine, dependent on chance encounters with prey or lucky foraging. But then, we began to plan. We started tracking animal herds over vast distances, learning their patterns and anticipating their movements. We developed techniques for driving them into traps. Crucially, we learned to preserve and store surplus food. A successful hunt no longer just fed the group for a day. It could provide security for weeks. This innovation broke the cycle of daily desperation, giving survival a newfound stability and freeing up time and energy for other pursuits. This planning extended to the seasons themselves. By observing the world around us, we learned to read the rhythm of the year. We anticipated the lean times of winter, the floods of the rainy season, and the droughts of summer. Our movements became less about instinct and more about strategy. We migrated with the seasons, following the resources and avoiding predictable environmental catastrophes. Foresight began to replace luck, and our ability to plan ahead drastically reduced the devastating losses that once plagued our ancestors. Success, as it often does, bred more success. Groups that mastered these strategies for controlling risks grew larger and stronger. A larger population wasn't just more mouths to feed. It was a powerful asset. More people meant a more effective defense against predators and rival groups. It meant labor could be divided, with some hunting, some gathering, some making tools, and some caring for the young. It also created a larger repository for knowledge. More minds meant more memories, ensuring that vital skills and lessons learned from past mistakes were preserved and passed down. Sheer numbers became a strategic advantage in the game of survival. With this growth came a new concept: territory. We began to defend specific areas, not just from saber-toothed cats or cave bears, but from other human groups. This was a monumental shift in our psychology and social dynamics. For the first time, our greatest threat wasn't just the raw power of nature. It was the ingenuity, and ambition of our own kind. Competition for the best lands, the richest hunting grounds, and the most reliable water sources had begun. The human world was becoming more complex. Our influence on the environment grew, often unintentionally at first. The controlled fires we used to drive game or clear undergrowth permanently altered grasslands, creating new ecosystems that favored certain plants and animals. Our persistent hunting of large mammals changed their populations and behaviors. Over time, we started to notice these effects. We realized we could actively manage our surroundings to make them more productive. Certain areas became richer in resources precisely because of our presence. We weren't just living in the world, we were actively, if crudely, managing it. The way we learned also transformed. Knowledge was no longer acquired purely through trial and fatal error. Skills were taught deliberately. Elders passed down their wisdom to the young in a structured way, demonstrating how to knap flint, how to track game, how to identify edible plants. This formal education drastically reduced the number of fatal mistakes and made the entire group more efficient and effective. Knowledge became our most valuable, inheritable treasure. We also learned how to bounce back. Resilience replaced fragility. In the deep past, a single disaster, a flood, a fire, a disease could wipe out an entire group. But now, after a catastrophe, groups learned to regroup instead of collapsing. They adapted their strategies, relocated if necessary, and rebuilt their lives. They had a cultural memory of hardship and a toolbox of strategies to overcome it. On an emotional level, something profound changed within us. Hope emerged as a powerful survival trait. The belief that tomorrow could be better than today, that we could improve our situation through effort and planning, gave us the endurance to push through unimaginable hardship. Hope was the fuel that kept groups moving forward during times of crisis. The quiet confidence that we were not merely passive victims of fate. But this newfound control came with the dark side. With the power to shape our world came the power to break it. Sometimes, we overhunted, driving species to local extinction. We overused resources, depleting the very environment that sustained us. Successful strategies were often repeated mindlessly, even when the climate or landscape changed, leading to disaster. Control amplified everything. It magnified not only our successes, but also the consequences of our failures. As groups grew, our social structures became more intricate. To manage cooperation, sharing, and the inevitable conflicts, rules emerged. These social contracts stabilized the group, but also required enforcement. Leadership, once informal, became more defined and hierarchical. We needed organization to manage our increasingly complex societies. Technology continued to expand our influence. The invention of sophisticated clothing, made from animal hides, stitched together with bone needles, allowed us to survive in frigid regions once completely inhospitable. Boats and rafts let us cross rivers and even open water, expanding our reach beyond natural barriers. The old limits of the planet were beginning to shift and recede before our relentless ingenuity. Risk, of course, never vanished entirely. The Earth remained a powerful and unpredictable force. Volcanoes still erupted, ice sheets advanced, and massive storms could still destroy everything we built. But the crucial difference was our ability to recover. We now weathered these storms faster and lost fewer lives. Our relationship with nature had fundamentally and irreversibly changed. We no longer saw ourselves as just another part of the environment. We were becoming its managers. This perception altered every decision we made from that point forward. These skills for survival became deeply woven into our cultural identities. Traditions preserved the behaviors that had proven successful over millennia. Rituals reinforced the importance of cooperation and social bonds. Stories and myths served as a collective memory, warning against the disasters of the past and celebrating the heroes who led us to safety. Culture became our long-term survival manual. By this stage, the constant, looming shadow of extinction had begun to recede. We had crossed a threshold. We were still vulnerable, yes, but we were no longer helpless. We had achieved a measure of control, however imperfect and precarious it might have been, against the immense power of the planet. This was our quiet victory. It wasn't about domination, but about leverage. We had learned when to resist nature, when to adapt to it, and, most importantly, when to reshape it to our advantage. This turning point set humanity on a one-way path. Our control would only continue to grow, the consequences would become more profound, and the delicate balance between us and the Earth would never, ever be the same again. Thank you for watching. If you found this journey into our deep past interesting, please like, subscribe, and join us for our next exploration.